Hi. Before starting this video, I would like to quickly thank all of the supports, discussions, and suggestions I received from the last video. As someone who only have a bachelor's degree in physics and an associate degree in engineering, pure mathematics is a passion of mine that I have never been systematically trained on. Thank you very much for being patient with my imperfections, and hopefully you'll be one of the people who witnessed me achieve my dream of getting a PhD in pure mathematics. Anyways, let's get back to the video. If you have been following along with this series, you probably know that I'm building a local network messenger for Linux systems. To be honest, as someone who had no prior experience in building a messenger, I'm kind of proud of what I did. But at the same time, I also started to realize how painful it is to add new functions into an existing codebase. Although there is only 200 lines of code in my messenger, given that I had no plan beforehand and only introduced functions along the way as I needed them, bad architecture and design are inevitable. While I could still screen record what I programmed in the first few videos, I simply gave up on showing the full process of implementing the encryption function in the latest one. Not that I didn't want to, but I was constantly jumping between lines to edit the type of the variables, introduce new pointers here and there, and look up function prototypes to connect different parts of the program. The process was just too messy to document, which ended up I only showed the overarching ideas with some details about the size and type of the variables involved. Nevertheless, regardless of how hard I tried to simplify my explanation with most accurate details possible, the video was still boring and bloated. So this time I would like to do it differently. Consider that I want to implement a new function in my code. I would like to first isolate what are related to this decryption task from what are not. Since the decryption function is only used on the receiving side, I don't need to care about other modes in the program. Inside this receiver mode, the programmer asks for the user to input the password and store it in password character pointer. Currently, the run listener function would take in nothing, then immediately wait for and print the incoming messages. However, since the password is for decrypting the incoming messages, I need to pass this pointer into the function. Inside this function is a character array buffer with the maximum message length plus 1 byte for storing the incoming messages. But consider that each incoming message contains the ciphertext length, the salt, the nonce, and the ciphertext itself, which constitute by the message and the authentication tag. I need to make the buffer bigger to capture all of these information. Next, inside this run listener function there is a while loop that runs indefinitely to print out the incoming messages. After receiving the incoming message and storing it in the buffer, a character array needs to be created for the decrypted message. Then put the pointer of the password, the buffer, and the decrypted message into the decryption function. Inside the decryption function, the very first task is to isolate the information from the buffer. Then define an unsigned character array for the key that will be generated by hashing the password with the salt. Before actually decrypting the ciphertext, I need to create two other variables for putting them into the decryption algorithm. One is the ciphertext length with another type, another one is the decrypted message length. Finally, decrypt the message by plugging in all of the information into the decryption algorithm, then that's it for the whole decryption function. Now that I have the updated program, after compiling it, we can test it. You can see that first I used my Arch Linux laptop to create my Kali Linux system. With the appropriate password, the message was successfully printed on the screen. Next, I try to send the same message again with the wrong password. Then the receiving side shows decryption failed. Similarly, I can do it the other way around, and I got basically the same result according to whether I type in the correct password or not. So here you have it. After so many months, I finally finished this encrypted command line messenger. But this is not the end of the journey. In fact, this is the very beginning. With this current version of Messenger, I'm wondering how well would I be able to expand and beautify the program, such that it will actually be useful in reality. How long will the code take to become unbearable that I need to refactor or even rewrite it? What kind of features will I implement in future? Will it gain enough popularity that eventually they will have actual users? I can't wait to see how much struggle I will encounter. If you're also curious about it, consider subscribing to my channel so that you won't miss my little bumpy coding adventure. Anyways, that's it for this time. I'll see you in the next one.